Yeah.
Anyway, Call of Duty, dude. I will say this. Is there double jeopardy in Call of Duty? Are you familiar with the term double jeopardy?
Meaning what?
If you commit a murder, for example, and you get tried for that murder, you get convicted.
Yeah.
You
So
can't
what
be
in
tried for
Call
the
of Duty?
same.
What in Call of Duty? What would you mean?
Like if you talk
So, like,
about what happened last week, are you gonna get
oh no, they
fined
will.
again?
Yeah, I will be. Yes, I will be
Really?
swiftly fined. Again.
Really? So if you talk about
Yeah.
your actions last week, you will be fined.
Yes, I will. I will most likely be fined.
Okay. Well, then let's
I'm
say,
not going to get.
yeah.
Like, I mean, we can talk about it. I just can't, disrespect the league in
Yeah.
any way. I can talk about it in like a very non-biased,
Cool.
objective opinion.
Well, let's start there.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the year, at the beginning of this whole thing, right? Like this is something new to everybody, including the league. And at times, I've been a little bit of a shield for the league because, for the game, not for the league, but for the game, because the developers and the creators of the video game set out to create a piece of art that's interactive and other people get to do that. And at no point did they set out to create a sport. We turned it into a sport. We then turned it into a spectator sport. And we then turned it into a legitimate sport by franchising and paying millions and millions of dollars into it.
Yep.
So everybody's sort of finding their footing in all of this. But some of the stuff that you were saying last week resonated not only with me and the owners, but also with the players. There is a little bit of work that needs to happen on both sides, and to not hold everybody accountable. Like if we weren't paying players, okay, if we were not playing players and then treating them like shit, if we weren't taking care of their insurance, or if we weren't providing housing, or the league would have a lot to say about that. Right? Because we need to be held accountable to do what we say on paper that we're going to do. And I think that is the same, and we should hold them to the same contract that we have amongst each other. This three-prong venture that we're embarking on, right? The league, the orgs, and the players, like it's going to go nowhere if one of those three prongs isn't fully committed to doing this. So we have been very, very critical of the league in calls, and the league has been very, very receptive of those things. And it's really easy to blame them. It's really easy to talk shit to them. It's really easy to just like throw everything in their plate. But behind the scenes, they are like they themselves are tough on their own situation, how they're handling certain things. But at times, there's no excuse, and at times you need people to be boisterous, as you were last week, in order to invoke some sort of change to happen.
That's exactly the reason that I did what I did. And for those of you guys that actually saw the tweets, because the league may or may not have asked me to delete them, I probably went about it the wrong way in the wording and how aggressive they were, but I would do it again in a nicer way. Like, even though I've been fined, I've had meetings with the league since then, obviously, like that's a bullet that I'm willing to bite. Like if I have to suffer a fine to move the league forward in terms of communication and like just overall due process, then like that's fine. Monetary value as opposed to like how well the league is being ran is not comparable. So I think me like saying what I said, although it was aggressive, I think it was very needed because the situations that we've been put in this year, specifically on my team, there's a lot of examples across the board, but they're kind of unexcusable in my opinion. I'm not going to get too into it, but since I tweeted those things and you brought up like me doing that is moving things forward, I've had 3 meetings with league officials since that day that I would have otherwise not had. I could go ask and they'd be like, yeah, we'll get to whenever, like this isn't really a pressing issue, but like because I made it an issue, I got an audience with people that mattered at the league. We talked for at length hours for over the last couple of days about things that could change, why I said what I said. And, like you said, the league was very receptive. There was no disrespect. I took my fine on the chin as I should have. And the work that the reason that I made those tweets to begin with, the work has started. So, I had a couple hour meeting last night going over things for replay rules, the ref situation that I had mentioned in my video, just overall quality of life things for players that far outweigh a monetary fine that people seem to think that I'm like scared of or whatever. Like that's just overall quality of life for players is more important to me. So I'm happy that, I took that fine on the chin, but I'm moving things forward and that's kind of all I care about.
Well, thank you for that. Obviously, like everybody that is moving this thing along and pushing it forward, no matter the means or how it's done, it's solid by me. You know what I mean? Because we do need to be better. Orgs need to be better. Players need to be better. And you deleting and realizing that the approach may have not been the best one is fine. But in the heat of the moment, when so much is at stake, right? Because if you were playing for money, then you wouldn't have said what you said, right? If you were playing for your salary, you wouldn't have said what you've said, right? You wouldn't have stood up for it. You're the majority of the people, and I mean this, the majority of the players that I've ever come across, all of them, for the most part, play to win. They don't. The money's nice. The salary's nice.
Yeah, there's very few people that go in playing for money.
Yeah,
it's just the competitive drive that people have that is the reason that people compete in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone in Call of Duty that has started playing strictly for money.
Mm-hmm.
That's like not really a thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like I know that's the case, right? And I know that when you sort of take that approach and you feel something. You feel for something so deeply that you become somebody that you're normally not, right? You, Sam LaRue, are a quiet, stand-up dude. I've never seen you involved in any drama. Like even when we had Krim over here throwing
headsets, mix amps, yep,
all the way across here, like you were still quiet. Like literally, have never seen you be the guy to start shit. You know what I mean?
It's just the culmination of everything, man. Like I'm not going to get into it, but like my team has been on the short end of the stick so many times this year, and like that London series was so important for us because if we had beaten them, then that was their last tournament. I think they were in like 8th at the time, so like that was an opportunity for us to jump places. And LAG had already lost. These are all teams that are close to us in the standings. Like realistically, that was the most important series of our entire year, barring champs, and we didn't even get to finish it. So like. The way that the situation was handled, I just lost my mind. I said it in the video. Like I freaked out. Mm-hmm. And normally, again, you said like I'm a very quiet, reserved person, but like that's probably the most mad I've been in a very, very, very long time. And again, like the approach wasn't great, but the ends do justify the means in this situation, which is rare. But I mean, I'd do it again.
Yeah. So again, it warranted me reaching out to you to see if you would come on the pod. I mean, again, I wish it would have been in person, but. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and here we are. Anyway, so I was surprised that you were so forward. I was surprised that you really went out of character and went out there, and I know that it meant that much to you. Again, not because of your salary, not because of the price, but because of the wins. And when you have a year that isn't as stellar as your previous teams or career has been, you know that there's something that isn't necessarily all there. I will continue to say this over and over again. Nobody expected COVID to happen. It's nobody's fault. We're all trying to live and react to a situation that happened in our world, whether it's the right thing to do or not. We won't know until we sort of enact the things that we need to do. In this case, going to online, if you think about the alternative, right, which is postponing the league on year one till 2021, not knowing what 2021 holds, is by far the last thing that we should have done. If there's money on the table for players to be able to capitalize on and sort of win and put in the pockets if they're able to set their future up, you got to go after it, right? Like, what or what else are we supposed to do?
No, I never agreed with the whole postpone the league thing. Like even if the situation isn't optimal to run a league, like this year has allowed so many problems to come out and be solved in year one, which is what a year one of the league is for in the first place. It's not going to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination. So I think that I don't want to call it a dry run, but like seeing what's happened this year and how to run the league and all the issues that have arisen is far more important than postponing the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like it was a decision easily made. Like I've said it before, like we spent close to 2 weeks debating whether or not champs should be online or not, whether or not we should create a player bubble. Which reminds